The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
Illegal street racing once again fueling concerns in our city. People who live in one area say there's been a recent uptick in activity in late night street racing, and they're looking to local leaders for answers.
It comes and goes, but it's a problem the city has been aware of for some time. RJ Marquez talked with councilwoman who represents District 3 about her ideas to curb illegal street racing on Southwest Military Drive.
This video was given to us by a viewer who wanted to show some of the noise and street racing issues that have plagued their Southwest Side neighborhood for months now.
It seems like they're back in the South Side in our neighborhoods. And what we're seeing is that it moves around the city. District 3 Councilwoman Phyllis Villagran is aware of those complaints and looking at several ordinances or policies to address the issue. The other thing is we're going to need to look at what we do with the trespassing, because some of them are gathering on private property. Villagran is encouraging business owners to put up trespassing signs to curb large car gatherings, but also wants to hear from property owners and neighbors. See how we can do a noise ordinance that doesn't hurt businesses, legitimate businesses, but addresses these gatherings that stay up until, 2, 3 in the morning. Another potential option is blocking off stretches of Southwest Military late at night. The general manager at Buddy's Home Furnishings says he's never had a problem with street racers, but thinks it's important for businesses to have their input.
I mean, I'm sure it can impact a lot of businesses if she decides to do that. I don't interfere with them. They don't interfere with our business. So, I mean, to each their own. That's the way I see it. This is a huge priority. We've had 2 public safety town halls with Chief McManus. We're having a town hall tonight with the DA.
Yeah, Stephen, Myra, that town hall is underway right now at Southside Lion Senior Center and will run through 7 p.m. tonight, so everyone is invited to ask more questions about this. So we also asked Councilwoman Villagran about a potential ordinance that would address the type of street racing where large groups gather to watch those races, and she says that has gone back to the drawing board for the moment. And we just heard a little while ago from San Antonio Police, and they do confirm that officers responded to Southwest Military Drive on Sunday night to clear parking lots where people had gathered, and there were reports of disturbances, and they will continue to do that. Reporting from the southeast side, RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
All right, thank you, RJ. Tonight, an ongoing protest outside of the Uvalde CISD administration building.
Parents of Robb Elementary victims have been there all day, one vowing not to leave until action is taken against the district police. The Uvalde superintendent actually seems to be avoiding this whole thing with the help of DPS troopers. Parents tell our Lee Waldman something needs to happen now.
It's been 4 months since 21 people were killed inside of Robb Elementary, and now Brett Cross says he's not waiting any longer for action to be taken. This video is from a Facebook Live this morning. Cross and other parents and supporters got here at 6:45 to confront Superintendent Dr. Hal Harrell as he got into work. Their demand is simple and straightforward. They want all Uvalde CISD police officers at Robb Elementary on May 24th to be suspended and an investigation to be opened. To be clear, no investigation is open at this time. Dr. Harrell said an audit and evaluation is being conducted, but no investigation. Brett and Nikki Cross say enough is enough. It's time to take action.
Since the shooting took place, we've been to every school board meeting, begging, pleading, crying, and it did absolutely nothing. We're 18 weeks in. As of today, still absolutely nothing.
So we're not begging and pleading anymore. We're demanding. So do your job and suspend these officers pending an investigation, and then we can go from there.
The Crosses say Harrell and the rest of the employees were escorted out of the building by DPS around 11:30 today. Our calls and emails to the district have not yet been returned. Now, the Crosses say they're demanding accountability not just for their son Uzziah, who was killed, and his classmates and his teachers. They say they're doing this for all of the children who are still alive. Now, tonight on the Night Beat, you're going to hear more from the Crosses, as well as a wrap up from tonight's City Council meeting. In Uvalde, Lee Waldman, KSAT 12 News.
We'll keep following it. Thank you, Lee. A murder trial underway today for a San Antonio man accused of killing his stepfather. Jaron Diego Garcia is charged with the murder of 49-year-old Mark Ramos. That deadly shooting happened on March 5th of last year. According to the prosecution, the night of the shooting, Ramos and his wife were arguing when Garcia intervened and ended up shooting Ramos 6 times as he was trying to leave the house. But the defense told a different story to the jury today, saying this was all a case of self-defense as Garcia was trying to help his mother, who'd previously been abused by Ramos.
He had no problem being aggressive, wanting to hurt people. He would be out of control. And that night, he was out of control.
Garcia's mother is expected to take the stand at some point tomorrow. If found guilty, Garcia faces up to life in prison.
Why did he leave? San Antonio police arresting a teenager in a deadly hit and run that happened earlier this week. SAPD says 17-year-old Seth Mendenhall allegedly hit and killed 29-year-old Milton Tejeda in his car at the intersection of Ramsgate Road and Stockbridge Lane. Police say it happened after the two got into an argument outside of a Northside convenience store. The arrest affidavit states a fluid trail from the car and witnesses led to the arrest of Mendenhall. He's being charged with failure to stop and render aid, resulting in death. His bond set at $75,000.
San Antonio police and Crime Stoppers are asking for your help to identify a pair of robbery suspects. Take a look here. SAPD says the 2 people robbed a Burlington coat factory on Southwest Military Drive last month. Police say the man in the photo assaulted a store clerk after he was confronted about putting items in a backpack. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers at 210-224-STOP.
Tonight, San Antonio fire investigators trying to figure out the cause of a blaze at a home near downtown. That fire happened about 4:30 this morning in the 200 block of West Mistletoe Avenue. That's near West Woodlawn Avenue. Firefighters say the flames burned through a garage and a shed. Both were unattached from the home. No injuries reported. No other buildings were damaged.
Well, this is something you won't want to miss. 4 out of 5 residential SAWS bills could be going down next year. The water utility had a consultant and a rate advisory committee take a look at how its rates are structured.
Yeah, the recommended changes would bring in the same amount of money, but from different areas. Garrett Berger tells us what you can expect to pay.
When it comes down to it, your faucet is dripping dollars. An idea at the heart of the proposed restructuring of SAWS rates.
The Rate Advisory Committee, which looked at this, said their number 1 priority was affordability.
The proposed restructuring would mean lower bills for 83% of residential customers, the ones using less than 9,000 gallons a month.
The average customer uses quite a bit less than 9,000, about 6,300 gallons a month. And those folks' bill are going to go down by almost 9%.
That decrease includes the reduction in sewer bills that every residential customer will see. Probably not surprising then, Bailey says she's gotten a largely favorable response.
I mean, the bills have been a little bit higher than normal, so anything reducing our monthly expenses would be wonderful.
But those savings are being made up elsewhere. Using over 9,000 gallons at home, you're going to pay more. And the utility plans to raise the rates for recycled water and its general class customers, which include industrial uses, apartment complexes, and businesses. Businesses like the little taco factory, where water is a necessity.
We're making the ice, washing the dishes. We have customers coming in, at all hours of the day. And
general class bills of almost all sizes would go up in the area of 7%. Excluding their stormwater fees. That's no little thing for the little taco factory. Not with the other increases they say they're seeing too.
I mean, it totally adds up. Now the water's going up. Now what else is going to go up?
SAWS has a calculator online so you can see how your specific bill would actually be affected. Mine, for example, looks like I'd have about a $273 difference. You can find the link to this on our website under this story. I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Now, the SAWS Board and City Council are expected to vote on the new structure in November. If it passes, that new rate structure would go into effect in January.
Around Texas now, a judge ruling today that State Attorney General Ken Paxton does not have to appear at a hearing related to an abortion access lawsuit. It comes after an affidavit alleged Paxton twice actually ran away from a person who was serving him with a subpoena that was related to that lawsuit. Paxton's office filed a motion to stop the subpoenas, saying they were not proper and had not been effectively served. The motion said he refused to engage a person trying to serve him at his home yesterday morning.
If you need a mail-in or absentee ballot for this election, there are some changes you need to make sure you're aware of. Right now on KSAT.com, we have a list of all those changes that have been made under SB 1. We also have links to the new mail-in or absentee ballot applications. The last day to submit an application is October 28th. Election Day is November 8th.
Happening on Friday, you can watch the only scheduled gubernatorial debate right here on KSAT. We're also live streaming the debate on KSAT.com, kind of a virtual viewing party. The debate will be held at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, where I'll be a panelist. We'll also be holding a virtual watch party for our KSAT insiders. Debate coverage begins at 7.
Well, the stress of inflation might make some want to grab a cold one, but it turns out that beer is being affected by that too. Courtney Friedman went to a local brewery to find out how supply chain issues, rising prices, and material shortages are affecting the beer business and its customers.
If this is the kind of six-pack you like to work on, 5 o'clock wherever you are is getting pricier.
The $8.99 kind of six-pack has always been like what we had in our mind when we started this business.
Ranger Creek Brewery in San Antonio hasn't raised prices yet, but if you buy the beer from a bar or grocery store, you are paying more.
It goes through our distributor and then goes through our retailer. So everyone's going to experience higher costs, which, from gas prices and everything else.
Founder and owner Dennis Rylander says the pandemic supply chain problems are still brewing and inflation is piling on.
We actually get a lot of that grain from Germany, and then that's harder just from a shipping standpoint. Shipping costs increases, and then obviously the cost of the grain too.
Seemingly small things like cardboard shipping trays have increased 40%.
A big difficulty right now are the cans. There are two kinds. This one has the aluminum with a sleeve of design over it. This costs 26 cents right now. This one costs 13 cents, just about half of that, and it's printed on the can. The problem is if you get this kind, you have to order about $70,000 worth.
And you can't have beer without the bubbles. Nationwide, there's a carbon dioxide shortage, but that's one thing Ranger Creek is unaffected by, thanks to solid supplier relationships.
So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Part of it, we've been in business for over 12 years.
Then inflation means paying his employees more.
That impacts, our revenue and how we think about our products and our margins.
Many small breweries have had to close out, but Rylander is seeing the cup half full, ready to keep chugging along to do what he loves. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
A little worried about what could be on tap there. Trains guide right now, I-35 at Loop 410. We are looking northbound, and you can see traffic is very heavy as people come off Loop 410 to hit 35 north. It is moving, just not moving very fast.
Yeah, quite slowly. Hey, we're happy with the direction these temperatures have been moving. The humidity, it's picture perfect, Adam.
Yeah, the humidity's gone. It's going to be gone for quite some time here for the foreseeable future. And earlier this morning, we had a low officially of 61. Then we made it up to 90 degrees this afternoon. Right now, we're for the most part in the 80s. 89 Seguin, Gonzales, 91, 87 Bulverde, 87 Helotes, and Rio Medina. Going through this evening, beautiful, clear, calm, low humidity. And that means temperatures are going to fall off quickly. So by 10 o'clock, down near 70. By midnight, we're in the mid-60s. And I think widespread 50s tomorrow morning. I'll get into the specifics of how cool and where in just a bit, along with the very latest on Category 3 Hurricane Ian and its updated path in just a bit.
Welcome back. I'm Stefania Jimenez, and here's what we're working on for you tonight on the Night Beat. So just imagine this. They've been stuck without water for more than a month. And now the water company says it's finally able to pump water to its customers, but it may not be enough. The concerns that a Frio County community still faces. Plus, from protection to pollution, the unexpected impact of COVID-19 and how it could impact the future of San Antonio. We'll see you for these stories and a lot more tonight on the Night Beat.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'll see you then. All right, let's go over a corn maze. This is the corn maze next to Traders Village, the Traders Village corn maze.
That's a doozy.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so we got all these fall-themed activities for people to get out and to enjoy. And it's not quite feeling like fall, but we're getting there. It's a step in the right direction.
You know what I like about this shot?
What?
It's amazing.
Oh boy.
Oh, gosh, jeez. Adam, it's your
I'm just going to take it from here.
Yeah, just go.
Do.
Just go. Just go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take this. And
love the low humidity.
It's great, isn't it? It feels good outside now. Unfortunately, it doesn't do us any favors in making much needed rainfall, but we can't just order up rain at any time. So if we can't get it, at least it's relatively comfortable outside. That's the nice thing. Cool mornings all week, low humidity all week long. And then, of course, Category 3, Major Hurricane Ian nearing the southwestern Florida coast. We'll take a look at that in a moment. I want to start right away with the temperatures tomorrow morning. This is what we're expecting. 54 in Hondo, 48 Kerrville and Fredericksburg, about 59 officially in San Antonio. And I think most locations south of Highway 90 will be about 59, 60. Bernie 51, Bulverde 52. You're going to feel that nice, crisp condition out there again tomorrow morning. Kind of like what we had, a little taste of fall to start the day tomorrow, and then more of the same the rest of the week. Morning low temperatures, which is usually around sunrise, upper 50s, mid 50s in some spots around town, and obviously a bit cooler than that in the hill country. And then by early next week, we'll see those mornings creep back into the lower 60s. But this is an extended period of some fall-like morning temperatures that are running about 5 to 10 degrees below average. And one reason is because of the humidity or lack thereof. Dew points right now in the 30s to near 40. So very dry air in place. And this is going to remain the case. So often we get the return flow, the southeasterly breeze off the Gulf of Mexico that quickly boosts the humidity and mugginess behind a cold front. But that's not the case this go around. Our dew points are going to stay low and stay in the pleasant to dry category. So if your skin is susceptible to, if you're susceptible to dry skin or chapped lips, this is the kind of weather where you start to notice that a bit, especially because we haven't had an extended period of lack of humidity like this for months around here. All right, here's the big picture. Quiet across the state, upper level high, basically over Colorado, centered over Colorado and New Mexico, but it's close enough to us where it's influencing our weather. And this is poking all the way up into Canada. This is a big ridge, big upper level high. A little bit of action around the Great Lakes with the trough, but of course, the main focus is down near Florida, and well, all of Florida, really. Take a look at this. This is the 3D satellite imagery of Hurricane Ian, and lately it's going through a bit of an eye wall replacement cycle, and this could actually lead to some intensification here before it makes landfall as we go into tomorrow. Unfortunately, this is a very slow-moving hurricane, which just prolongs the impacts. That's the problem. That little cool front that moved through here is actually stalled over North Florida, and that's kind of slowing this system down. And even as it traverses the peninsula over the next couple of days, it's going to be a slow mover. So max sustained winds near the center at 120 miles per hour, some gusts up to 150, and it's moving to the north at 10 miles per hour. You can see the outer bands already making their way into Florida, especially southwest Florida. Some tornado warnings there as well, as is common with these systems when you're in the front right quadrant. Anyway, Category 4 likely with the landfall tomorrow, midday, early afternoon. Max winds of about 130 miles per hour, somewhere between Tampa and Fort Myers, particularly closer to Port Charlotte, Sarasota area. And then, of course, weakening quickly as it heads toward Orlando and then Daytona Beach, Jacksonville area. Otherwise, around here, it's just quiet and straightforward. Sunny all day, all afternoon tomorrow. 50s in the morning, upper 50s officially, we think, downtown. And then by the afternoon, you're 90, and this trend just continues. Maybe some clouds by Sunday, Monday, but that's it. Otherwise, quiet and straightforward.
Yeah, we don't mind that. Thanks, Adam.
All right, we're talking about a rebuilding effort. We're talking about a very young team. That means they have some holes to fill.
Yeah, especially in the leadership side, because we know they have a lot of talent on this team, but there need to be some new leaders now that DeJounte is now playing for Atlanta. When we come back, who could that be? And making up for that mistake last night, help the Cowboys win that game coming up. With DeJounte Murray traded away to Atlanta this offseason, the Spurs will be looking for new leaders this coming season. A guy the youngest team in the Silver and Black's history, Devin Vassell, in just his third season with the Spurs, is one of those players who, as you can tell, spent a good deal of time this offseason in the weight room.
You know, me especially coming into a bigger leadership role this year. So, we got a lot of young guys, a lot of new guys and stuff like that. So just got to try and help them out. whether it's offense, defense, just, with everything. We just got to be that type of a leader. And, especially on me, I feel like it's a big year for me to step up my leadership role. So it's huge for me.
After Media Day on Monday, today was the actual first day of workouts for their first preseason game this Sunday in Houston against the Rockets.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
Dallas Cowboys are basking in the glory of winning their first NFC East game of the season when they were able to come from behind and beat the New York Giants on the road last night on Monday Night Football. Two of the heroes of this game were quarterback Cooper Rush, who's now 3-0 as a starter, and wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. But Lamb admits he was angry with himself when he dropped a sure touchdown in the second quarter, only to make up for it when he produced the game winner in spectacular style. A one-handed catch in the corner of the end zone and still somehow got both feet in bounds, and he did it with his left hand in the 23-16 victory. What did he have to say for himself after the game?
I appreciate Kel for trusting in me and all the guys, believing in my ability. And it was tough. It was a tough, third quarter. Just kind of I kept thinking about it. All the guys kept preaching to me to, let it go. We still got more game left. And then fourth quarter, when I kept hearing my number being called, I knew it was my opportunity again. So I had to step up.
All right, next up, another division opponent, the Washington Commanders, Sunday at noon in AT&T Stadium, and KSAT 12 Sports will be there. After starting their season 2-2, the UTSA Roadrunners kick off Conference USA play this week with a chance to defend their first ever title. And on paper, this will be a tough challenge, having to travel to Middle Tennessee, who just upset ranked Miami Hurricanes 45-31. And that's after they were 25-point underdogs. Now the Blue Raiders host the Roadrunners, coming off their massive 52-24 victory over Texas Southern, where the Roadrunners are 5.5-point favorites. What did the Roadrunners think about facing a team coming off a massive upset?
Any given day, anybody can beat anybody in this game. It's never set in stone. So what they did to Miami when they went up there in that environment and they played their tails off and they had some success up there and they won pretty comfortably and they did do well. So it'll be a good test for us and we're excited to accept that challenge.
Kickoff between UTSA and Middle Tennessee in Murfreesboro, Tennessee is set for 6:30 on Friday night. The results of the Peanut Butter Bowl announced today at Hero Stadium, and they were amazing. What started out with 2 schools participating has grown to 67 schools that request donations of peanut butter at their games to help feed the hungry. Even the KSAT Pigskin Classic 2022 was part of that drive that was won by Alamo Heights High School and coached by Ron Ritteman.
I'm blown away, to go from 43,000 last year, which I thought was untoppable, to go to 80,336. I'm just blown away by these coaches and communities.
I couldn't be more proud of our community, our school, our athletes, the people that really stepped up and got behind this. And to win the Peanut Butter Bowl trophy to represent our community like that, I couldn't be more proud.
Yeah, and it's really thanks to all the fans that came to the games and brought it. So thank you all for that.
Yeah, that's an effort that sticks to the roof of your mouth.
It sure does.
Yeah, thank you, Greg.
Just full of them today. Our KSAT Q&A with Mayor Ron Nirenberg is coming up next.
He's amazing.
Full of something. It's time for our KSAT Q&A, and it is something that I know I have not seen since I have been here in San Antonio for the last 27 years. A San Antonio City Councilman suspended of his committee duties and basically taken to task even by the city attorney from the dais about how he was talking to and talking about one of his 4 fellow council people. We're talking about Mario Bravo and his interaction with Anna Sandoval. We are joined by Mayor Ron Nirenberg. Mayor, I know you made the ultimate decision on what should happen here. Why did you make the decision that you made?
Well, obviously we have expectations of decorum and behavior for anyone in the city organization, whether that's staff or it's an elected representative. I would say as a member of the elected body that we have to hold ourselves to the highest standard. And so when there are issues that come up on the staff side with regard to conduct and decorum, there's a process for dealing with that. And we're going to take the same tact on the elected side of the House as well. Again, that's not an episode we want to see repeated. So when it does happen, I think it deserves a thorough review, and it deserves some assurances that we can get to the bottom of what happened. but also ensure the public that won't happen again.
And Councilman Bravo has been suspended from his committee appointments as a result of that confrontation between he and Sandoval ahead of the budget vote a couple of weeks ago. There's an investigation piece here that's happening right now. Talk about that process. First of all, who is conducting that investigation?
Well, whenever there is an issue like this, we have to make sure that we do a thorough fact finding, and that's best done by someone independent of the city that won't come into the situation with any bias. So there is an independent investigator handling that part of it. Of course, based on what we have already seen and the interactions and the folks that did comment about it, there were some intermediate steps that needed to happen, and so I took those with regard to the suspension from committees and external appointments. So those processes are all going to be done fairly. Again, making sure that we don't jump to any conclusions, although there are actions taking place immediately. But a thorough review of the situation is warranted, and we will obviously, when that investigation is complete, we'll determine what to do moving forward from there.
Right. So that's when you'll decide how long the suspension takes place and deal with it from that perspective.
That's correct. And I'll also say, obviously, Councilmember Bravo is still a voting member of the council. There are no actions that take place with respect to council ordinances or anything like that, zoning changes, things like that. None of those decisions are made except for the full body of council. So there will continue to be work. We will continue to move forward with the business of the city per usual.
I want to move on because I know that you're kind of limited by what you can and can't say with regards to Councilman Bravo. But there's a plan for St. Mary's and for the Tobin Hill area that basically says residents can have parking permits between 10 o'clock at night and 4 a.m. in the morning. That's one of the solutions that's kind of been played out there. Have you been following that? And do you think that's a viable solution to the noise, to some of the things that they're seeing in that neighborhood? I mean, it seems to have basically divided the business and residential community in Tobin Hill.
Yeah, and this is now coming front and center because of the meetings that have taken place recently. So I have not reviewed that proposal. I will tell you this, every resident in San Antonio and every neighborhood in the community has a reasonable expectation to be safe, to enjoy their quality of life. And so we want to solve issues that get in the way of that. I will say, however, that what has been described to me in terms of the proposed permit doesn't seem to solve those issues. And in fact, when you're talking about wholesale closing off public rights of way, that raises some concerns for me. There is a big bar that has to be passed to require closure of public rights of way. And so we've got to, again, identify what's the issue that we're solving and ascribe solutions to the issue. And if the proposal itself doesn't solve the issue, then we need to try something else. But what's been described to me doesn't seem like it's going to solve that issue.
Yeah, and there is a real issue of balance here with concerns that neighbors are seeing in that area, as well as the business needs of those along the St. Mary's Strip. And for people not familiar with that area, there were homes right up against these bars and venues that are locally owned. It's a unique spot in San Antonio, a long history. But is there anything you can talk about in terms of the process of moving forward with this proposed program that needs to happen where the concerns of both those neighbors, people who live there, and these business owners can be brought to the same table?
Well, first I'll say that the St. Mary's Strip has been a corridor of activity for as long as I can remember. As a student there at Trinity University, it was the St. Mary's Strip. There have always been homes there. So there are going to be issues that arise, and we've got to deal with those issues. So the character of the community, number one, is something that we've always been talking about and working to address when issues arise for a long time. And so, what I would say is that we want to hear the concerns of folks in the area, and we want to address those concerns, but we also want to do it in a way that doesn't destroy the character of the St. Mary's Strip that people have come to know for a very long time. There are locally owned businesses along the corridor that are vibrant parts of San Antonio, and hopefully they will remain that way for a long time in San Antonio, if not forever.
Yeah, a lot of those businesses down there feel like they're being hit by the double whammy, too, of this parking idea. Plus, there's construction that's been going on there for quite some time. So
I'm glad you brought that up,
yeah,
Steve, because here is the big issue, and that is the construction zone. Those projects need to be done.
Yes.
When those projects are completed, and they're taking far too long, but when those projects are completed, I think a lot of the issues are going to be resolved. And also, with respect to the businesses, remember that there are people that work there, and they also need places to park, which is only being exacerbated by the construction zone and the delays in construction. We know there was a water issue there this weekend. So a lot of those things need to be solved, regardless of the issues related to parking and other activities. So, and we're working to do that as quickly as possible. I met with City Manager Eric Walsh this week about that, and that is absolutely top of mind for him as well.
Yeah, a couple different layers here to what's going along the St. Mary's Strip. Mayor Ron Nirenberg, always great to have you. Another segment of Mayor on the Move. Is that what we're calling this when you join us?
I think he's kind of parked, though. I noticed that he's not
we're
moving.
Parked.
So,
Well, he's headed somewhere.
Yeah. I don't have my seatbelt on because we are not moving at the moment, but
key to point out.
Y'all.
Could be mobile mayor, but chooses not to be right now.
Oh, well, that doesn't flow.
It's got a
very
long
well,
title, but
Steve.
we'll work on it.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We'll see you next time.
Have a great evening.
We'll be right back. Now to Hurricane Ian, where Floridians are scrambling to make last-minute preparations as this storm takes aim. Ian growing to a Category 3 storm overnight.
The hurricane battering Cuba with heavy windstorm surge and flooding. ABC's Morgan Norwood in Tampa, Florida.
Hurricane Ian, a major storm still gaining strength, now closing in on Florida. Overnight, Ian creeping over Cuba, lashing the country with devastating storm surge, wind, and rain. South Florida already feeling the impacts. Heavy rain drenching downtown Miami and arriving in the Florida Keys. Ian forecast to thrash Florida's west coast near the Tampa area and area south. Fort Myers now added to the potential danger zone.
It is a big storm. It is going to kick up a lot of water as it comes in, and you're going to end up with really significant storm surge. You're going to end up with really significant flood events. And this is the type of storm surge that is life-threatening.
A mandatory evacuation has been ordered. Please leave this area.
More than 2.5 million people under evacuation orders. In the Tampa area, traffic slowing to a crawl as Floridians scramble to safety. The mayor of St. Petersburg with this message for those taking their chances by not evacuating.
If you're in an evac zone, you need to move. You will be on your own at some point if you're in an evac zone and you choose not to move.
As time runs out, residents racing to prepare. The Gonzalez family boarding up their home before getting out.
It's time to maybe put up the plywood. We got sandbags and all kinds of anti-flooding devices that we're going to set up here in a little while.
And in Tampa's Hillsborough County, an hour wait just to fill sandbags, others taking from local beaches.
Floridians are going to experience the impacts from this storm for a very long time.
In addition to the storm surge, forecasters are also concerned about the flooding from Ian. Even inland areas, including Orlando, could get up to 2 feet of rain. I'm Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Tampa, Florida.
Let's take a look outside with live cam back here at home. Not a cloud in this view, but some beautiful temperatures, Adam.
Yeah, very nice out there. I mean, 90 degrees, our high temperature today, which is a few degrees above average, but the morning temperatures are what we've been focusing on because they're going to be running below average all week long, unseasonably cool conditions. And this evening, we're going to see those temperatures dropping pretty quickly. 88 right now, 71 at 10 o'clock, by midnight in the 60s, and then we continue to fall off into the upper 50s around San Antonio by tomorrow morning, but even cooler in some outlying areas. We'll get more specific in just a bit. All right, fall-like conditions the next several mornings, basically this whole week. Let's take a look at our morning temperatures and what we're expecting out there tomorrow morning. And again, this is officially in San Antonio, what we're expecting. Obviously, it's going to be a bit cooler in some outlying areas, but 59 tomorrow morning, 59 Thursday morning by Friday, down to 57, and that should be our lowest point for the next 7 days. You look at the readings right now, a far cry from 50s. I mean, 80s to near 90. Castroville, Hondo at 90, Seguin 89, Canyon Lake now at 87, in Kerrville at 85 degrees. Cotulla 91, Corpus Christi 88, Junction 87. Not a big temperature range out there right now. This is what we're expecting tomorrow morning. This is what we're expecting around sunrise tomorrow, 7 a.m., when we typically have our morning low temperature. Helotes, or I should say Hondo, at 54 degrees. Kerrville, Fredericksburg 48. Canyon Lake in the low to mid 50s for morning temperatures. Helotes about 57. Bernie 51, Elmendorf 59. So you're going to notice that fall-like feel to the air to start the day tomorrow, and then it's just more of the same the rest of this week and even on into this upcoming weekend before temperatures rise a little bit next week. As for the afternoon tomorrow, again, right near 90. Today, our high temperature was 90 degrees, and I think that's where we'll be tomorrow. And keep in mind the average high is 87, so just a little above average for this time of year in the afternoon, but the mornings are well below average by a good 5 to 10 degrees. So afternoons right near 90 the rest of this week and all the way into the weekend and early next week. Not much variety when it comes to those afternoon temperatures, that's for sure. And a pretty quiet weather pattern for us. We've got the upper level high planted over New Mexico and Colorado. We had the weak cold front move through yesterday. Now we've got this northerly flow aloft and a big ridge over the western U.S. So this is really going to keep our weather very quiet and just reinforce what we have out there right now for the rest of this week. And this ridge, it goes all the way up into southern Canada. So this is impacting weather not just across the western U.S. and here, but even stretching into Canada with dry conditions. So pretty quiet weather, but that's with the exception of what's right between Cuba and Florida right now. And this, of course, is Hurricane Ian. Category 3, so major hurricane. Max sustained winds very close to the center in the eye wall of 120 miles per hour, gusting up to 150, moving to the north at 10 miles per hour. And it's likely to take a bit of a turn to the northeast as we go through tonight and even on into tomorrow, with the landfall midday, early afternoon tomorrow, likely as a Category 4 hurricane somewhere between Tampa Bay and Fort Myers, or roughly between about Sarasota, so southern end of Tampa Bay there, all the way down toward Naples is where we're likely to see the landfall, which is where the center, the eye of the hurricane, crosses over land. But some of the worst storm surge is on the right-hand side of that system, closer to Sanibel Island, Fort Myers area as well. And then it quickly weakens as it crosses over the Florida Peninsula on into Thursday, but likely still a tropical storm closer to Orlando and Daytona Beach. Here's a look at the spaghetti plots, and you see they're pretty tightly packed between Tampa and Fort Myers here. But of course, a lot can change here just even over the next 24 to 36 hours. A little wobble one way or the other will be having, of course, an impact on who gets affected the most. Here's your KSAT 12-hour forecast. 59 in the morning tomorrow. By noon, we're at 83 degrees and a high temperature right near 90. Nothing but sunshine, and get used to that all week long. Very similar conditions.
I could get used to that.
I was going to say that's easy to get used to. In case you missed it, coming up next.
It's Tuesday, September 27th.
After more than a year, the search for a missing man comes to a tragic end.
Police in Schertz are now saying human remains that were found in Comal County have been identified as that missing man. Jacob Dubois disappeared 18 months ago. The Comal County Sheriff's Office notified Schertz police about the discovery, but it's not clear where the remains were found. The last time this 22-year-old was seen alive was back in March of 2021. He told his girlfriend he was going to meet up with a friend, Ethan Beckman, but he never came back. Beckman was jailed on a charge of tampering with or fabricating physical evidence. Police say that investigation into murder charges is still ongoing.
The Bexar County court judge said it was an oversight on her part that led to a loaded gun being found in her carry-on luggage at the airport. Judge Rosie Spiedlin Gonzalez claims she was trying to catch an early morning flight September 19th and forgot the gun was in her possession. TSA agents discovered the weapon had a bullet chambered and a loaded magazine in it. The judge was then questioned by San Antonio police and allowed to board her flight. Her wife took possession of the gun. Spiedlin Gonzalez could face a civil penalty from the TSA. The incident will also be forwarded to the Bexar County District Attorney's Office for review. This Friday, Governor Greg Abbott and his Democratic opponent Beto O'Rourke will face off in a debate. It will be hosted by Nexstar Media Group at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley in Edinburgh. The debate broadcast will be right here on KSAT beginning at 7 p.m. on Friday. It'll be live streamed on KSAT.com. And remember, the last day to register to vote is October 11th. Election Day, November 4th.
In the Hill Country tomorrow morning, we'll have some upper 40s, but locally mostly upper 50s. So a little taste of fall again in the morning, running below average. And that's the case every morning this week. But the afternoons, well, actually more seasonable, sunny and right near 90 degrees.
All right. Thank you, Adam. And thank you for watching the news at 6.
We'll see you on the Night Beat at 10.